The final thing that I want to talk about is the problem of anathematization in our communities, the problem of attacking other Muslims. My father last year read the Quran from beginning to end in English with notes. And I said, what's the thing that struck you most about the book? He said, the prohibition of sectarianism. I want you just to think about that. The prohibition of sectarianism. That was what struck him most. Somebody who's familiar with other revelations and other religious literature. And that really hit me because I started thinking of all those verses in the Quran. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Right? Don't be Shia, لا تكونوا شيعاً, don't split into sects. All those prohibitions of sectarianism. And I really took it to heart. And I just thought, one of the most extraordinary things about our community is they developed a type of tolerance, of difference of opinion that is really unique in the history of world religions in many ways. They were able to literally incorporate difference of opinion within the framework of a exegetical tradition, a hermeneutic, a way of interpreting literature, recognizing that there are many ways to understand the same thing. There are limits to those. It's not infinite. So they did put parameters, but the parameters were quite broad, and they were very, very wary of anathematization, the idea of saying somebody was not a Muslim. It's very hard to get kicked out of Islam. It's very easy to come into Islam. It's very hard to get kicked out. But we have so many Muslims now that have arrogated to themselves the idea that if you don't agree with me, you're not a Muslim. They have lost a sense of what has been termed in some traditions fallibilism, the idea that we are fallible creatures by our very nature. We can be certain about Islam, and we should be certain about Islam, because yaqeen, certainty, is one of the prerequisites of faith in our religion. But we should always have a fallibilistic understanding of our own interpretation of that religion, or our own understanding of that religion. Imam Shafi'i, one of the greatest scholars in religious history, said, whenever I debate with an interlocutor, I always assume, if I believe in my position, that I'm right but I could be wrong, and that he is wrong but he could be right. In other words, he had a sense of fallibilism, that my interpretation might not be the right, and I should always be open to listening to another possibility. This is certainly for the scholars more than for the common people, but it's very important that we incorporate that in our understanding. This idea of just calling anybody that disagrees with us a kafir or a mubtada'. This is a serious problem in our community, and we need to take it seriously. Really, we need to take it seriously. One of the principles in our tradition is, it was articulated by Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu. And Sidi Abdullah wa Hajj Ibrahim, in one of his books, says it this way in poetry: وَمُدْخِلُ أَلْفًا مِنَ الْمَلَاحِدَةِ أَقْرَبُ مِنْ مُخْرِجِ نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. To deem 1,000 atheists to be Muslims by error is easier in the sight of God than to consider one Muslim a kafir. We should really take that seriously. Be very careful about making takfir of other Muslims. And I know many of my closest friends have been called kafirs. Really, many of my closest friends, somebody up here who I know saying, I'm one of them. No, we have this problem. So we need to understand, I'm a committed Orthodox Muslim. I follow the Maliki school. I try to follow the dominant opinion. I was trained in the Ash'ari Kalam tradition. I incline towards the text of Imam al-Tahawi in terms of just what as an articulation of creed. And I accept the way of Junayd as-Salik. This was our tradition. Islam is threefold. It is creed, it is law, and it's beauty and the making of beauty. These are the three dimensions of Islam. If any one of them is lacking, we have an incomplete Islam. Our Islam is incomplete. If we're not making things beautiful, then something's wrong with our Islam.